Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm back with something new for you guys to enjoy. I got this idea some time ago, so here it is guys. What if Naruto created his own Sage mode? And remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels that I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Let us begin now guys. We begin this new series at the most powerful nation, known as Konoha, otherwise known as the Hidden Leaf, located within the Land of Fire. There were 5 great nations around the world, and Konoha was number 1. The smaller nations did not compete in terms of power with the Great 5. So overall, Konoha stood at the top, despite all the great tragedies that happened to them. The Nine-Tail attack that claimed so many lives. The Uchiha massacre that left behind only one Uchiha within the village. However, deep within Training Ground 28, behind it there was a forest. A forest that was similar to the forest known as the Forest of Death. However, these trees were more closely packed together. There was no one inside except for one boy. He had spiky blonde hair, deep blue eyes, 3 whisker marks on both of his cheeks. He was 11 years old. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki was a very special child, and tonight, he was going to make history, he told himself. As he stood in the center of the field, he had proceeded to get rid of the trees. Well, it wasn't done by him. Glancing over, there was a golem. That is what he called them. It was a body of rocks come together, creating a humanoid figure that was bulky and large. 2 massive arms that longer at the side, massive legs that allow them to stand tall. On the center of the golem chest, there was a paper seal. That is what gave it life. And this was all done by that 11-year-old boy. Yes, Naruto was a special boy. However, this time though, on top of the golem head there was another seal. There was 4 golems, each of them standing around Naruto like a box. They were a distance away though, giving him enough breathing room. On top of each of their heads, not counting their seal that gave them animation, was another seal. It was a barrier seal that contained everything. He'd been working on that for some time now. He believed that it should be able to handle the backlash. Naruto was not wearing a shirt. He was only wearing black shorts, nothing on his feet either. From his head, going straight down to his toes, his body was covered in sealing. Sealing art, an art that was lost to mankind. Fuinjutsu. Nowadays, people only use it for explosive tags or small barriers, but in the heydays, with a clan known as the Uzumaki clan, they stood as supreme number 1, unshakable, unbreakable. They were known to be masters, leaders. The very concept of Fuinjutsu run in their veins. And this boy was a Uzumaki. As far as he knew, he was the last one. Here he was. He looked towards each of the golems. They had no mouth. They could not talk, but they understood him quite well. Let us begin. In front of him, There was a diagram seal that spread all over the ground. It was large and very complex. The child stepped right into the center, where everything came together as one. He started to slowly go through hand signs. He went through 58 hand signs before. He slammed his fingers right on the tip of the seal on the ground. The markings that were on his skin seemed to make contact with the ones on the ground. His body reacted as chakra was siphoned directly out of him, causing the seal on the ground to light up. Naruto pulled himself up as he looked around. A deep blue. Each of the lines, each of the curves, each of the marks started to glow blue. That is when Naruto saw it with his eyes. It was amazing. The energy that flew through the earth was being absorbed by the seal. Now for phase 2, he thought to himself. He placed his hand on his stomach, where there was another seal. This one was special and different from the others on his body. This one contained something. Naruto simply nudged it a bit, knowing that he could not open it without special parameters. He used his mind and his chakra to focus and nudged it, drawing on the power that resided inside of him. Immediately, his entire body was surrounded by a red cloak. He felt himself losing control to the bloodlust. However, the seals on his body started to react. They siphoned all of the chakra, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to hold it for too long. The power that was sealed inside of him was just so mighty, but these were simply used as a conduit. Now, Naruto thought as he pumped his hand into the ground. All the sealing that was on his body started to melt off. It started to move on its own like it was given life. It connected with the blue seal on the ground, causing the colors to clash, blue and red. Naruto waited and waited until he saw it, purple. He then proceeded to stop and reverse the process, therefore pulling everything to his body. However, the energy that resided within the earth started to react negatively to what Naruto was doing. There was a big smile on his face as he watched the Fuinjutsu return back to his skin, therefore granting him the... Naruto paused. What the hell? Naruto turned when he saw the very ear in front of him started to rip. Confusion marked his face. A purple lightning started to crackle. He looked at the seal down at the ground. It started to fizzle out. Naruto was confused as he took a step forward. What the hell was that? The wind started to pick up within the dome. The ground started to break. Damn it. Naruto looked down as the Fuinjutsu on his skin started to pull further. Suddenly he felt pain. It was like acid being dripped on his legs. The problem was, the process could not be stopped. The only way to do so was to completely cut his chakra off, which he could not do within this process, otherwise, who knows what would happen. The pain was unbearable as he dropped to his knees, but that was the least of his problem. Beyond the human comprehension, beyond many, there was a force, a place where the energy of the world resided. Unusual forces and energies that has been circulating for time that could not be comprehended. What Naruto was trying to do was, he was trying to harness the energy that flowed through the earth to use it at his disposal. He's come a long way since finding out about this. However, the problem was, he thought he could simply stabilize all this power with just a few seals. He was a bit arrogant and a bit cocky ever since he started to dive deeper and deeper in the art of Fuinjutsu, and it had brought him here. The problem was that he encountered a force that he could not easily suppress like that, and the fox energy made it worse. The energy that resided from a very powerful ancient beast that was now the Nine Tails clashed against nature itself, and therefore, with the two energies colliding and clashing together, something new was born, something that never existed. However, Naruto's experiment brought it into reality. As Naruto was screaming in pain, his body was nearly covered by the markings. He reached out to try and stop, the vast amount of energy. It was like a ball of lightning, however, it was purple. It crackled and fizzled in the air, like it was tearing the very space in between. As he reached out towards it, it exploded. The golems were eviscerated. The seals were destroyed. Every single citizen in Konoha was awoken by that blast. The entire training ground was reduced to ashes. All the trees, everything was wiped away. The energy seeming to just swallow every single thing around. It was pure destruction. It only took minutes. Anvus descended upon the scene. They weren't alone though. Their Hokage was right there as well. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage of the Hidden Leaf, looked around, trying to pinpoint what caused all of this. The gate had been blown off. Everything inside of the training ground had been flattened, and even a few areas outside as well. Luckily, this was one of the furthest away from the village, so the village was not harmed, but a lot of commotion was being caused. As Hiruzen tried to find out, his man spread and scoped the area. "Sir," one of them quickly arrived beside him. "We found something." Hiruzen came over towards the location where he saw, down deeper in a hole. As he jumped down, the Anvus securing the person. However, the person was burned pretty badly, extremely so. They had no features. Their hair was completely gone. Their skin was dark. Everything was burnt. It was merely a breakable husk. Everything was gone, features, all. But given the size and the shape of the person, they could all tell that it was a child. Immediately, Hiruzen started to panic, quickly giving word to one of his Anvu to go and secure Naruto Uzumaki location. Immediately, the Anvu took off at quick speeds as he arrived towards the child's home. However, when he arrived, he could not see anything from the outside. The shades were covering the windows. He decided to go straight inside. Upon arriving inside, there was nothing but books over the ground. The place was filled with books, a lot of it. The Anvu searched the entire place. However, he found absolutely no one. The child was not here. He could not sense anything. As he quickly returned to see the medical expert aborted the group, checking the boy's pulse. But there was nothing there. The moment Hiruzen was given the word, panic started to set in. No, 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 no. What have you done? He frantically thought to himself as he looked down, when suddenly, there was a crackle of purple lightning. It started once again. It crackled once again. And again. And again. Hiruzen looked around when he saw something. "Move! Now!" All of the Anvus flashed away. He did so as well, as a wave of purple energy was brought back together. What seemed to be the corpse of the boy was lifted in the air, as the energy flooded into his core. The light was overwhelming. Everyone had to shield their eyes. When the light finally died down, they saw it. His body regenerated. The regeneration was fast. His hair regrew. His arms, his legs. He wasn't wearing a shred of clothing. However, there was no burn mark. His facial features, his whisker marks, everything appeared. He then started to fall. Hiruzen jumped as he caught the child. He landed softly on the ground. However, as he raised his hand and checked the boy's pulse, he released a sigh of relief. But then, anger set in. Hiruzen was not pleased. He was very much upset. Time skip. The boy was lying on the hospital bed. The doctor had done what they could. He was fine. Yes, physically he was fine. However, they weren't aware why he was still sleeping. He should be awake. They could not wake him up, and they had no determined time on when he would come out of this. So that was a problem that they now face. Hiruzen stood there after getting the report. He was very much upset, knowing that Naruto put himself in this condition because the child would not listen. Hiruzen sighed as he sat down in the chair nearby, thinking about how things came to this. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. However, he was no normal child. Being the host of the most powerful tailed beast, the Nine Tails, he was a Jinchuriki. Because of what the Nine Tails did to this village, many saw him as an abomination, a creature, something that would eventually destroy them. So they turned away from him, leaving him alone, confined. You might think that this would bother any child, but not this boy. Naruto was special. Not your ordinary special, but more than that. From a young age, Hiruzen saw it. It was a few months after his birth, when it seems like he was gaining understanding of what was going on around him. There was no doubt in Hiruzen's mind that he knew the people hate was there, but he did not care for them one bit. Naruto had trapped himself in a fantasy. At a young age, he started to read books, using his imagination to go on a fantasy ride, exploring with the words from the page. The child had described it in a way that surprised Hiruzen, to the way how he was so young and yet his mind was so advanced. When he came across a Fuinjutsu book, a week had passed with Hiruzen not knowing anything. This was when he was 4 years old. However, when Hiruzen paid him a visit the other time, he was shocked. The boy was able to grasp level 1 and level 2 of basic Fuinjutsu knowledge in just under a week. It was a truly shocking realization. Fuinjutsu was in his blood, there was no doubt about that. However, given how fast-paced Naruto's mind was, it seems like he adapted to Fuinjutsu more than any other Uzumaki has ever understood. He was learning at an extraordinary rate, so much so that he was harming himself. By using all the money that Hiruzen gave him for the monthly stipend to buy books and information other than buying food, Hiruzen had to warn him about that. Soon after, the child started to actually feed himself properly. Hiruzen blamed himself for allowing things to go this far. After the Uchiha massacre, he had to focus on other things, and he didn't focus that much on Naruto. Naruto had gained somewhat arrogance. It came from the people not seeing him as one of their own, so he believed that he was better than them. Even better than all the kids at the academy. His problem was physicality. Naruto was not a physical able person. He did not focus on training or training his body to fight. Therefore, he was humiliated by the students when it came to a fight, especially one Sasuke Uchiha. That had pissed him off to no end. He lost his composure. He was so furious, frustrated with tears and anger, because he believed himself to be better, because of how vastly he was in Fuinjutsu. To lose that easily in hand-to-hand combat, he was humiliated. Therefore, Naruto decided to dive deeper than he's ever gone before. When he came across natural energy, something that could be wielded by sages. So therefore, he decided to harness that power and use it to strengthen his form. He built the seals. He created precautions and protections. About the Nine Tails, it wasn't hard for him to figure that out. Hiruzen knew that he could not lie to Naruto. Naruto had learned so much about seals. Coming across a seal on his stomach was rather easy. However, Hiruzen had still not told him about his parents. But Hiruzen did drop the ball. After the Uchiha massacre, he strayed away, not paying that much of attention to Naruto. And the child had used that time to grow, in terms of arrogance and pushing himself to dangerous measures, like tonight, almost getting himself killed. This was not the first time he had done something stupid, but this was the first time he had done it on this drastic scale. Hiruzen did not know that Naruto was trying to harness nature energy by using his chakra and the fox chakra as a conduit in order to sustain that power. to make it an unlimited resource, but he messed up. Nature energy wasn't that easy to control as you might think, and the fox chakra and his chakra combining created a force that clashed with the nature itself, creating something out of the explosion, something that did not exist before. While Harrison was there thinking about how he dropped the ball with a young boy, the toads at Mount Miyaboku had felt it. The moment the surge went to the sky, they felt it. It wasn't just them though. Every single summoning animal felt the surge. A power that wasn't supposed to be here. This was not nature energy. That is what Naruto was trying to accomplish, but this was something new. It was birthed from the collision of two forces that should not be clashing against one another. And now, it did not only strengthen Naruto, it spread. It spread, gaining a grasp in this reality, an unknown force that has never been seen, never been tested, or never been used. And the only user was now lying within the hospital bed. His eyes snapped open, a purple flash going through them for a second before they returned back to normal. He pulled himself up in the hospital gown. He looked around as Harrison snapped his gaze up. Naruto had woken up minutes after. He looked at himself confused, before a frown came on his face. "I guess it didn't work," he said, looking rather upset that he failed to accomplish his task. "Naruto!" Naruto turned as he heard the deep voice of Harrison. The man was not pleased. Not at all. Time skip. Naruto was pretty pissed off. As he sat outside, he saw the other kids going about their day. It was lunchtime. He sat by himself, gazing out at nothing really. Harrison had took all of his books away. Not just that, all of his sealing paper, and also his ink as well. Returning back to his apartment, he was rather pissed off to find that everything was gone. He had returned back to the man, asking for them to be returned, but he refused, saying that it was a direct order as the leader of this village that he would not give him anything back, nor will he allow him to purchase any from any store until he believed that he's responsible enough not to do something that stupid ever again. As Naruto had simply frowned and left the office in a rage. And now he was at this place, this boring, waste of time place. The academy was truly pathetic in his opinion. If they were going to be ninjas after this, how in the hell was some of these things going to help them? Yes, he understands the history of Konoha, but does it have to take up an entire section of their time every goddamn time? What, when they were on the battlefield, was the enemy going to ask them, when did the first Hokage do this or that? Screw that. Naruto stopped caring about people's opinion a long time ago. In fact, he never thought he truly did. He didn't know why, he was just set that way. From he knew how to understand things, he always found reading to be an escape. To live in a life that you did not really live in. And when he first came across Fuinjutsu, the first book, it got him interested by just a few words. The ability to unlock the limitless potential that all of us possess. Fuinjutsu was truly a crafty, unbound art that was better than Genjutsu, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu, all of that. It was one of the greats. However, his reason for gaining strength was because of his humiliation. He never really focused on fighting. In fact, he always tried to end things early, whenever they used to do that back in the days. But this time though, he didn't know what came over him. He was feeling extra cocky that day, so he decided to fight Sasuke Uchiha, instead of just allowing the Uchiha to win. Because when he did that, he believed that he was allowing the Uchiha to win on his terms. But now, he was humiliated, taken down in a matter of seconds, like he was nothing. And that pissed him off to no end. Truly pissed him off. That is why he tried to harness the earth energy, in order to gain strength fast. Strength that would make his chakra seems like nothing. The chakra of the Kyuubi was too powerful, and whenever he tried to use it, it tended to cloud his emotions and mess with his mind. And for a person that used his mind so much, well, he couldn't allow that. He met the fox. Yes, he did. And the fox does not like him. He doubted that the beast liked anyone after all. It was responsible for killing so many people, until the fourth Hokage sealed it away. Instead of killing, Hiruzen told him, "Speaking of the fourth Hokage, there is a big chance that the man might be his father, yes. Given the resemblance that he saw between the two, him and the fourth Hokage of course, and the fact that the fourth Hokage chose him of all people. But it was not something that he had spoken out loud about, or telling the Hokage about. He's been keeping a lot to himself lately. First of all, that he met the fox. The old man was too cautious and too worried. That is why he never told him what he attempted to do. And look at his things now. He took away all of them, and there wasn't anything that he could do about it. You know, if you keep on sitting here, with your face fluctuating through so much emotions, people are going to start to think that you're a maniac or crazy or something." "Did I ask for your opinion?" Naruto said. The person to walk upon him was none other than Ino Yamanaka, one of the popular girls in the class. You might ask, why was she here with him? Well, it was simple. They had a hated friendship. Yes, that was the way how to describe it. A couple of years ago, he had came across her before they started the academy. She was crying. Even before the academy start, there were still fangirls for the Uchiha, and she was one of them that liked him. And she heard that he liked girls with long hair, and hers wasn't so long at the time, so she decided to cry. She was 6 years old, still a naive child, as Naruto had found it rather ridiculous. He had asked her what was wrong. He didn't know why, he just asked. And she, for some reason, told him. However, he laughed in her face, calling her stupid. That angered her, but she didn't see him again until they started the academy. Seeing him again brought back that rage that she felt when he called her stupid. So she decided to say something about it. However, he doubled down and said that she was a stupid child, and she still is. And from then she kept on pestering him, just to piss him off most times, because he got on her nerves. But all of her advances failed. It didn't matter how much she tried to rally him, tried to make him, well, be the angry one. He kept on going around her and making her be the pissed off one. So here they were now, as Naruto was leaning back. He didn't really have friends, because he chose not to talk to anyone. He mostly stayed by himself. If he wasn't reading, he was on the monument doing something else, or doing some research or something. He didn't have time to be allowing his attention to be occupied by someone that was just going to waste it. And that is the arrogance and the self-superiority that Hiruzen was talking about. As Ino glared at him. "Why are you even here?" said Naruto. "Shouldn't you be somewhere with the other fangirls, fussing over the Uchiha? What about you? Shouldn't you be having your nose all the way in a book right now?" Was that supposed to be insulting? Because if it was, it really sucks, said Naruto. Shut up, she said, glaring at him once again. "I simply came here to give you some advice, because people are thinking that you're crazy with those looks on your face." "As if I could care what they think," said Naruto, as he leaned back and looked up toward the sky. "Fine, don't take my advice. Make people think that you're mad," she said, walking off, leaving him. He did not think much of her. She just loved to come and talk to him sometimes, and he did not really care about that. Naruto was upset why it did not work. He planned for everything. He tested everything. The seals were done. The chakra was stable. Everything was perfect. He used a small amount of the fox chakra so things wouldn't go crazy, and he used most of his. Naruto cursed under his breath. He wasn't a specialty when it came to chakra. There were seals on his body that helped him stabilize his chakra because he had a large quantity, an extreme amount, so much that he could not even do simple jutsus. He needed a seal in order to counteract the effect of having such a large gap of chakra. That is why he wanted to strengthen himself by other means without worrying about that. But he failed drastically. He almost died as well. Hiruzen had really laid into him about doing stupid things that would cost him his life. It was the first time that the man was that upset. He was truly pissed off. However, Naruto did not care that much. The only thing that he wanted was to get his stuff back. Damn it, Naruto thought to himself. If that wasn't the case, he was going to have to find another alternative in order to increase his physical capabilities. He picked himself up, frustrated at what had happened as he brought his fist down on top of the wood. However, what happened next surprised them. Yes, greatly so. Naruto's fist broke right through it. Granted, he wasn't a weak child, but still. The amount of force that he used shouldn't have completed that feat. Naruto turned as he started to examine the broken wood, wondering if it was just dry rot. That must be the case, right? As he looked back towards his hand, it happened for a split second, but his eyes caught it. There was a purple flash that flickered from his finger, and it was gone. Naruto stood there as a slow smile started to stretch on his face. I wonder, he thought to himself. Naruto started to walk away as he made his way towards the fence. Hey, where are you going? He glanced over his shoulder as Ino was standing there, her arms folded. To do something more important, said Naruto, than wasting my time here. You're not supposed to leave the academy grounds until the academy is over, she said. And what's gonna happen if I do? I'll tell Iruka-sensei, she said to him, and you will get punished. She had a smirk on her face as she looked towards him. As Naruto got off the fence and turned towards her, he started to step towards her as she narrowed her gaze. She did not move back though, as he stood a few feet in front of her. His hand then lashed out as he pulled the orange clip that was in her hair out. Hey, give that back, she said, trying to reach for it, but Naruto rushed back towards the fence. What do you think you're doing, you idiot? She yelled at him. Collateral, said Naruto. There's no doubt in my mind that Iruka is going to wonder where I am. But you're not going to say that you see me going over this fence. You're not going to say that you see me at all, or else I'll destroy this. You wouldn't dare, she said. Oh, try me, said Naruto, as he jumped over the fence and landed on the other side. I'll see you after school. And remember, keep your mouth shut. She shouted out his name as he ran, going straight into the woods. As she puffed out her cheeks in anger, she's gonna make him pay for taking her clip. Meanwhile, at the office, Hiruzen was writing a few reports. He had been rather rough on Naruto, extremely so, but the child need to learn what he was doing was stupid, and he could get himself killed. For someone that was so mentally matured, he did some things that he did not put his body precautions into his thoughts when he did them. After all, knowing that he possessed the most powerful beast, and yet he kept that information secured. But putting yourself in a situation where you could die and not even caring about that was rather stupid, if Hiruzen must say. He took away everything that Naruto would need to do something stupid. He had no doubt in his mind that Naruto was going to behave rather well in order to try and gain back favors with him so he could get his stuff back. When he believed that the boy was responsible enough, then he will decide to give him back or not. Meanwhile that was going on, Naruto ran towards a tree as he sunk his fist into it. However, he pulled his arm back in utter pain, cursing as he did so. As his knuckles was all bruised up, he flashed his hand off. What the hell? He thought that his physical strength had increased, because he was certain that he was not using chakra to help himself when he was sitting down, but now he could not even break the damn bark of the tree. As he wondered, was the bench that he was on just weak or something? He sat down remembering another state that he could use. Meditation. As he started to focus, trying to feel, to sense. It was how he unlocked his chakras. He was trying to feel if his body had underwent any internal changes. But after a half an hour of this, he didn't feel a damn thing. He was about to call it quits until, in his mind, it was like a rope. A purple rope that he reached and grabbed. Upon doing so, he could see. Naruto found himself in a void that he could see. It was a representation of what he was witnessing. It was power. Raw, uncontrollable power. Compared to the power Naruto felt, like a atom. Small, unable to even be seen. It was so large, so all-consuming. It was becoming so large it was expanded beyond the world that they currently reside in. And going further, that was what his mind was trying to understand and trying to feel through this energy. The weight was something that the human mind could not understand or process. One would probably die if they tried to. He wondered why wasn't he dead? Why could he feel this? Maybe it was a part of him as much as he was a part of it. He wondered though, what the hell was it? This wasn't the energy of the earth. He felt that one before. That one was different, more global and more consuming, but this, so weighted and so heavy. Where the hell did this come from? Naruto opened his eyes as he looked down towards his fists. Both of his hands were covered in a purple energy. As Naruto thrust his fist towards the tree, despite not being close to it, the force of his hand fired outwards and broke a hole through the bark. Naruto's gaze looked through the hole that was still smoking. A shocked look on his face. What he wasn't noticing was the mark that was now on his forehead. It was like a spiral swirl, but it had pointed edges, and it was glowing purple. The mark slowly vanished away as the purple energy was now gone. Naruto stood there with a shocked look on his face. He wondered to himself, but that was impossible. Did he just create a new source of energy? The sages use the earth energy. If it was to be used by them, the right name would be sage mode, right? Did he just create a new form of energy? And if that was the case, that means he will be the only one that used this energy. And if it was connected to the planet somehow, that meant he was also a sage. That meant he just created his own sage mode. Naruto wondered if he was going crazy or something. That couldn't be right. This must be an energy that was there but never discovered. But last night he remembered seeing that rift, that tear, and that spiral and crackled. Naruto was excited, immensely so. As far as he knew, there wasn't anyone that actually created the nature energy. It was in the name, it was from nature. That meant he created an artificial energy of nature that he could harness. No one in history has ever done something like this. God damn, he was amazing, Naruto shouted to himself. As he was jumping up and down, the clip fell out of his pocket. Naruto reached to pick it up when suddenly the energy spiraled out of his hand by accident. When he gripped the clip in his hand, it exploded into tiny pieces, leaving Naruto with a shocked look on his face as he just completely destroyed Ino's hair clip. He was shocked though, not about the clip, but the way it was destroyed. It was just destroyed, like destruction. Naruto shook his head. There were still many unknowns about this power. He would have to learn exactly how to harness it properly and how to properly use it. However, if it was as large as how it felt, if he could fully harness it, he would have no limits. Now that would be truly amazing, Naruto thought to himself. He then looked down toward his hand where nothing lay. She's gonna be really pissed, he thought to himself. Time skip. Ino was waiting. Aruka had tried to find Naruto, but he was unsuccessful in doing so, as Ino had not said anything, and now she was waiting. When she finally saw him, she marched over towards him. What took you so long? And where's my clip? Hand it over now. Oh, about that. It kind of got destroyed. What? It got destroyed. I was doing something and Ino punched him right in the face, causing Naruto to fall right on his butt. As he glared up at her butt, her glare was more violent. I kept my mouth shut and I did not tell Aruka anything about where you went, and you still destroyed my clip. My favorite clip. She raised her hand. Calm down, jeez. Don't tell me to calm down, she yelled at him. I'll buy you a new one, Naruto said to her. As some of her anger dissipated, you better, because you destroyed mine. And you're going to buy it from me tomorrow. We don't have academy then. You're going to meet me here tomorrow, and you're going to buy me a new clip. Is that understood? And what if I say no, said Naruto. What exactly are you gonna do? Tell on me, he said. An evil look came in her eye. Oh no, she said. I'm gonna beat you up. Naruto looked at her as he started to laugh. Beat me up? How exactly? Oh, you know, when you're not looking, I'll be there. When you're simply walking down the street, I'll be there. When you're heading home late in the night, I'll be there. When you're exiting your house in the morning, I will be there, she said. As Naruto looked at her with a skeptical gaze. So, are you going to buy me a clip or not? Fine, said Naruto. It's not like he's afraid or anything. He didn't even know what she was going on about. I'll buy you your damn clip. I'll see you here tomorrow at 12 or whatnot. Naruto walked away, as Ino had a triumphant look on her face. That really worked, she thought to herself. She thought he was just going to say something arrogant and walked off, but that was one of her favorite clips. Well, not really. Well, she kind of has a dozen of that exact one. Some of them in different colors, but she didn't know why she wanted to hang out with Naruto. She wanted to get him back for what he said all those years ago. But she has done that already. Well, she guessed she liked to see him very pissed off. That made her happy. Sasuke-kun didn't really pay much attention to her or the other girls. Bothering Naruto helped release some of that stress, she told herself. Returning back home, Naruto was grumbling to himself, having to buy her a damn clip. As he paused though, walking past his mirror, Naruto pushed his hair aside when he saw something. It was now edged in his forehead. What the hell? A strange spiral marking. It was small and dark as well. The side of it had thorns, like a tree would have. Pointy thorns. It seemed like a strange tattoo or something. As he wondered what the hell was going on, he tried to rub it off, but it would not move. As he wondered if this was some mutation of having this energy coursing through him. Speaking of, he wasn't going to tell the old man about this. Not just yet. Not until he could control it. Because he knew what the man would say. Oh, this is too dangerous. You can't do that. You can't do this. Well, he was going to. And the old man would never know. The next day, Ino was waiting when Naruto arrived. Dressed in a black t-shirt and black shorts and sandals. Let's get going. I want to spend as little bit as time as possible doing this crap. As they made their way, Ino was mocking and making jokes. As she noticed something, She's never really hung out with Naruto like this before. It was the people. Why are they looking at you like that? What did you do to them, she said, believing that it was Naruto's fault. For the first time, she saw something strange in his gaze. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. A look that she could not define. Tuh. Leave them alone, said Naruto. What's going on, she said, changing her tone. It's nothing. This the place, right? Yeah, she said. As they entered, she did not notice the look the shopkeeper had. Ino kept moving around and looking around as she was examining everything, furthermore wasting a lot of Naruto's time when he decided, buy this one. What? It doesn't work like that, she said. You can't just buy a clip. You have to know which one is the right one. You're joking, right? Of course not. Now shut up and just stand there, she said. This is your fault in the first place. Naruto's eyes started to twitch, which made her smile slightly, as she looked towards the one that he pointed at. Why did you want me to buy this one though, she said. Tuh. I have no idea, said Naruto. Wait, is blue your favorite color, she asked. It doesn't look that way, you're wearing all black. You mostly wear all black. I guess blue is alright. I don't care for much other colors. Well then I'm not going to buy it if it's your favorite color. As Naruto glared at her, she walked off as she found an exact replica of the orange clip, as she forced him to buy it. My obligation to you is done, said Naruto. Huh? What are you talking about? You're the one that made me came all this way, so I could regain my clip that you destroyed, so that means you're gonna have to buy me lunch. What? Well, you did make me walk all the way out here to buy a clip, which made me hungry, so yes, you're gonna buy me lunch. Naruto looked behind him. Why are you looking behind you? I'm just trying to wonder who the hell you're talking to. I'm talking to you, mister, she said. You're going to buy me lunch. Because I'm hungry because you made me walk all the way out here. Naruto started to lose his cool. His eyes started to violently twitch. Come on, she said, dragging his hand. Naruto released a calm, deep breath, because he started to feel hungry as well. That is the only reason why he went along with this bullcrap. Naruto blinked in confusion. What was the point of that? You barely eat anything, said Naruto. Oh, I'm kind of on a diet, she said. So let me get this straight. You made me buy you lunch. You only drink the juice. You eat a tiny bit of what came and then you're done. Yep, pretty much, she said to him. I see. Naruto said, I'm gonna go home now. Because I think if I stay here for any longer, my head might just explode out of frustration with you. As he walked away, he then paused. As he turned and looked at her, a confused look on his face. What's with that look? Still upset, she asked. I'm just trying to figure out why the hell you're even on a diet, he said. Tuh, it's not my business anyway. As he turned and left. As he did, Ino felt strange when he said that. As she looked down, she heard some rumors that Sasuke did not like big girls. That is why she was on a diet. However, Naruto's words made her think that he did not care the way she looked. She made her way as she returned back to the store where the clips were being sold, as she exchanged the orange clip for the blue one that Naruto had pointed out earlier. As she returned home, feeling much happier, months flew by rather quickly. Over the next months, a lot happened. First of all, Ino kept on pestering Naruto, and he kept on putting her in positions that make him came out on top, which further pissed her off, which made her wanted to make him upset by doing things that made him angry, or made his brain frustrated by her actions. But it wasn't only that. Hiruzen was glad to see that Naruto was shaping up and not doing anything stupid. He was even thinking about handing back over some of his supplies so that he could further enhance his knowledge on Fuinjutsu. Under supervision if anything dangerous, of course. But for the lesser subjects, maybe it wasn't so bad, he thought. While in secret, Naruto was working on his new Sage Mode. The mark in his forehead that he's been using his hair to cover was a representation of the energy that coursed through his veins. Whenever he pulled on the energy, Naruto realized something, that his body was basically a conduit that could pull this energy from, well, he did not know exactly where the energy was stored, but it was probably on the earth. Maybe in the earth, he thought to himself. However, he was having a hard time controlling it. He could not draw too much because he would lose control and he could feel it. But if he drew too little, he wouldn't be as strong as he needed, but there were certain things that he was figuring out. He could fire the energy. Like techniques, he could fire it off from his arms. Not to mention, it augmented his speed. Coursing through his veins, his speed and strength was greater than ever before. Just by using a small amount, he could only imagine if he was able to dive directly into the eye of the energy and use all of that power. He will be virtually unstoppable. Now that excited him as much as Fuinjutsu did. As for the arts, even though he did not possess his book, Naruto realized something rather strange. Recently he did. Flashback. 2 months ago, here is that bar anyone from selling him ink or the papers. Here he was simply sitting down. Naruto was thinking about something that he could do. However, his body was not advanced enough, nor was his chakra control. There were some people that could literally use their chakra to write Fuinjutsu, but he was nowhere near that level. That is when he came across something rather shocking. He was just going to try it, using this new Sage Mode. He used the purple energy in order to try and write it. Naruto carved his finger down on the palette below him. Upon doing so, smoke came out of it. The seal was not perfect because he was doing a lazy job just trying to see. However, the fact that it actually released smoke caused Naruto's eyes to widen. That meant this energy was not only better than his chakra, but it could also allow him to do inkless Fuinjutsu. No, that was an ecstatic thought. In the flashback, ever since Naruto has been practicing slightly, the first thing that he did was supercharge a leaf with an explosive note on it. The first few tries were rather pathetic. Instead of exploding a leaf, imploded. However, the more he tried, the more grounds he got. And now, things were looking up. Things were getting better and better. Soon enough, he wouldn't need ink ever again. If things kept on going the way they were going, oh, this was going to be amazing. Naruto thought to himself. Time skip. Naruto was currently in the forest, having his new headband proudly secured on his forehead. The test was not hard. All he had to do was simply apply the seal that limited his chakra. Therefore, he could perform the clone jutsu, which was pretty easy. Other than that, he left rather quickly. Ino was looking for him, but he did not know, because he left soon after, not even returning to the class. He got what he needed after all. Naruto had come to learn that this Sage Mode could not use jutsus like chakra could. It was just a physical enhancement of the body. There was other properties that he had yet to find out though. Maybe other abilities that came with the physical boosting of the body, such as releasing the energy force from his hand when he thrust his fist forward. But that was just a representation of the force that was currently flowing through him. The Sage Mode could not perform the clone jutsu, or could it breathe fire or rain water. As much as it was more dominant, chakra was still important. Even though the Sage Mode had a more dominant force when it came to physical enhancements. But it did give him something important though. Naruto had been training his body while using a fraction of the Sage mode. It also represents his physical form, therefore, when he uses chakra, his body was also improved in that matter as well. So he supposed that was a good thing, as he was trying to maximize it. So far he's using a small percentage. If he were to scale it, he would say around 3% or 2%. He would like to maximize that, go further than he's ever gone before. That is why he was out here. That is why he didn't waste time at the academy. Besides, it's not like he had family that would be there to congratulate him. He's been rather good in the eyes of the Hokage, and Naruto had made sure to play that part rather well, as he needed his books. He's reached rather far in using the Sage energy to craft the seals, but he's still nowhere near perfect. This was going to take some time. But he wanted his things back. He needed them back, because he wanted to create some golems to use for his exercise and practices. And he also need to go further in his Fuinjutsu studies. Speaking of that, Konoha had a huge limit when it came to Fuinjutsu, yes. They didn't have anything beyond a certain area. So he would probably have to make up his own. Well, given that Fuinjutsu could basically do anything, the thought was limitless as long as you have a very good mind, and he was sure about his. Naruto hearing picked up on something, as he made his way wondering what that was. He jumped up in the trees as he jumped from tree to tree. He came to a stop when he saw a wounded ninja. The man was a chunin, as his left hand was bleeding rather badly. "Let's get the hell out of here," he said. It was two of them, hunkered down by a house in the forest. Naruto was surprised when he saw the other one was Mizuki. He was shocked by that. Mizuki was standing there, with a giant scroll in his hand. "Aizawa is dead," the man said up to Mizuki, "and if we don't leave, we're gonna either be captured or dead. So let's get the hell out of here." Naruto was shocked when Mizuki drive a kunai directly into the man's back. The man had a shocked, betrayed look on his face as Naruto kept his mouth shut, not knowing what the hell was going on. He never really liked Mizuki at all. Iruka, while they didn't possess anything special, the man was a better teacher. "I'm sorry," Mizuki said. However, the apology was clearly fake. "You can't come with me. The person I promised this to is only going to help me, not anyone else. I know that I promised you greatness, but you were just a small part in a greater gain. And now that I finally have what I want, it's time for me to leave." Mizuki was going to give this scroll to someone very powerful. But not just that, he had tricked these two, the other one, that had died back at the village, as they had played an important part by working right within the Hokage's tower, so that they could help him steal the scroll. He promised them everything that they ever desired, but all he gave them was death. Mizuki was about to leave until his gaze noticed something as he spotted Naruto in the tree. He pretended like he did not see him as he started to move. That is when he spun and pulled the Fuma Shuriken and launched it. Naruto jumped out as he landed. The moment he did so, a brutal kick slammed across his face as he slammed hard into a tree. Naruto was dazzled for a moment as he looked up to see Mizuki standing in front of him. I must say, of all the people I expected to run into today, you were not one of them, but this brings forward a special opportunity for me to end your miserable life, Mizuki said with a smirk on his face. I've seen you on countless occasions acting like you're better than everyone else, when you should know you're nothing but a demon. As Naruto did not say a word. Yes, that's right. The nine-tailed fox that attacked the village all those years ago was you. You're a monster, a demon, and that is why everyone hates you. He laughed at Naruto, expecting the child to start crying or something, but Naruto did no such thing. You know, I've been wanting someone to finally test myself against. when I'm immersed in sage energy. And you have just made yourself a perfect target. Mizuki was shocked when Naruto vanished. Instincts kicked in as Mizuki jumped away, as Naruto was now standing there behind him. His body started to release a strange aura, starting from his forehead, coming down. However, Naruto started to bring out the power a bit more, tapping into the unreserved energy. As he started to pull it into his body, the black markings on his forehead started to stretch, coming below his headband. They stopped right at the edge of his eye. However, another marking appeared beneath his eye, but it stopped right there, as Naruto empowered himself. Naruto looked towards his hands. This is the first time I've taken this so far. Let's see how it's stacked up against a Chunin, shall we? Mizuki pulled the other Fuma shuriken off his back. Don't get cocky, you brat. I don't know what the hell that is, or why you're still reacting this way after finding out that you're an abomination, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna do this village a favor and end your miserable life. He swinged it towards Naruto, who ran directly towards it and jumped. Naruto pushed his hand right through the center. As he flipped, he brought the force down, therefore cancelling out the throw. As he thrust it back, Mizuki ducked as the thing split through a tree and another. A shocked look was left on his face as he couldn't believe it. But his mistake was taking his eye off Naruto. Naruto came in like a bullet as he slammed his head right into Mizuki's chest, causing the man unbridled pain as blood flew from his mouth. The moment Naruto's feet touched down, he ran. He was able to run past Mizuki in his throw. Naruto grabbed his leg and started to spin as he released him. Naruto jumped in the sky as Mizuki's eyes went wide. Boom! Naruto crashed into his chest. Mizuki released a blood-curdling scream of agony, blood puking out of his mouth. All of his ribs had been shattered. Naruto was astonished by his strength, especially that he was fighting someone that got the rank of Chunin, and yet he was able to demolish him. Mizuki, despite the agonizing pain, pulled out the shuriken that was situated on his leg. Yes, there was a pouch right on his thigh. Mizuki knew that he couldn't go anywhere, that he was unable to move, but at least he could still move his arm, and therefore he thrust the kunai directly towards Naruto's temple. However, Naruto's right hand shot up and stopped his hand. Big mistake. You shouldn't have done that, said Naruto as he raised his fist. Mizuki's eyes went wide. Boom! The collision was violent. Iruka arrived on the scene to see Naruto slowly get into his feet. Lying there on the ground was Mizuki. Iruka could not tell if he was alive or dead. However, Naruto, his body had taken on changes. The headband had flown off his head, showing a strange spiral marking on the center of his forehead that ran straight down towards his eyes and curved at the bottom of his eyes, going down towards his cheeks. His whole body was releasing an energy that Iruka could not understand. It did not feel like chakra. Iruka wondered if this was a fox. However, he remembered that night that malicious energy, and this was not that. This was different, but no less powerful. What the hell was going on, he thought. Meanwhile, that was going on in a vast emptiness, coursing with nothing but power. The energy that spiraled through the earth, known as nature energy. It could be seen. It was green and flowing overwhelmingly. However, nearby, there was another, a purple source that was getting larger and larger. Lightning started to course through it. This was at the same time that Naruto was sucking on the energy, empowering himself, and it started to react and behave unnaturally In this location, the power started to spiral, and something odd started to happen. It started to clash with nature energy, causing disruptions on a much larger scale. Whatever Naruto did, whatever he created, it wasn't normal, not in the slightest, as the eyes of the great elder toad opened wide. The toad was one with nature, and it could feel it all. The look on its face was a frightening one. This toad had been around for a long time and seen great tragedies and things that would put many mind to shock. However, the look on its face, this was the first time it had felt such fear. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.